Hey guys, Robert and Pika here. This is not a Pro Teachers Noob. You can probably tell by the and by the title. But much like when we went over things like under the hood, the preparate for him going for Pika going over under the Red Hood, because he's working. And I've already done All Star Superman once. Not in the mood to doing a take two on that yet.
Yeah.
We're just going to discuss All Star Superman.
Yeah. And I will also be putting some quick notes that I'm going to then expand on my script, which I have so far written up to, what was it?
Bizarro
issue number 8. I have written the first 8 issues of my script for the story commentary already.
Yep. But yeah, the fact now, I always find it interesting that one of the stuff here with Superman is that when you really think about it, this is obviously meant to be a bit of a play off of DC 1 million. Obviously.
Yeah. That actually then makes up to the... How far before the Infinite Crisis did this happen, or after?
After. This was definitely after Infinite Crisis.
Okay, did Grant Morrison have the idea for it before or after?
Kinda, sort of.
Because that makes me wonder...
Sorry, I was say, because this also ties back into the Superman 2000s pitch. Are you aware of that? Yeah, or Superman Now, the Superman Now pitch. That's the one where you had Grant Morrison, Mark Millar, Tom Peyer, and Mark Waid all working on this pitch, which would have resulted in Lex figuring out who Superman is, going through this whole kerfuffle, and it would have eventually led to Lois, Superman being forced to have Lois forget everything and but also lock it in to prevent that they can never reveal his identity. Ever. Because Mark Waid and some of the others wanted to just keep the love triangle forever. And it's basically, okay, you know what they did with the whole brain hemorrhaging they did when they gave Superman's identity back?
Yeah.
That, but just for Lois, and only Lois. And everyone then just happened to forget they were ever married. So basically, it was one more day for Superman. Unfortunately, it was done, and during that point is when he started to get more of an understanding for Superman. But then around that point, he eventually met a guy dressed up like Superman for a convention, and he had a good talk. The guy stayed in character, and it was at that point where he finally felt like he understood Superman. But yeah, so of course, by the time he was offered about all this, he had just done, the the new X-Men. By the way, just to point out, All-Star Superman released in 2006. So its release was after Infinite Crisis. It was still in the works leading up to it.
Yeah, probably so far before there was the whole hyper time was still in the place of the multiverse, because that would have probably, I'm still kind of thinking back to how it connects with DC 1 million and how the ending pretty much sets up the Prime Superman. But actually, let's get to that when we get to the end, and I'll kind of probably bring that up.
Yeah, but let's continue. Let's just look at this first one. I love he simplifies the origin perfectly.
Yeah.
Doomed planet, desperate scientists, last hope, kindly couple. That's all you need.
Yeah.
That's all you need to sum up Superman, isn't it? And look at that. I know there's a lot of people who have issue with Quietly's artwork. And is it perfect? No.
I'd say it has improved. Like if we compare this to the JLA Earth 2, then from there it has clearly improved.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, of course, just opening up as we see just this monster that Lexa, of course, manipulated, taking over. And I just like we just open up right in the middle of it, where it's already, the middle of one of Lexa's plans.
Yeah.
And of course, I love it. How big is the sun? I'd say literally enormous from where I'm standing. Are you sure you look at the right thing, Cat?
Was he still the normal cat, or this was the...
Neither. I think this is just Morrison just coming up with what he feels a Silver Age cat would have been like. And that you just be the bimbo.
Yeah.
But of course, obviously we get basically, okay, people always think and look at for the man and whatever happened to the Man Tomorrow as the end of the pre-crisis Superman. Technically, it was the end of the Bronze Age Superman.
Aivan.
It was Morrison basically giving us, what if the Silver Age continued and never became the Bronze Age? That's how you can look at this.
Yeah.
And would you agree that kind of is a good way of summarizing it? This does felt more like the Superman fantasticalness. And one thing I really like that Morrison looks at it is like this. Superman is the everyman, but he does it through a Paul Bunyan filter. It's kind of like if he has how a man could have his den where he just chills at the man cave. That's what the fortress is. It's on a grander scale. Or he has, and some guys have a pet. Not only does he have crypto, he has the Sun Eater. You know what I mean? When you really look at it, that's how Morrison looked at Superman. He's the everyman, but through the lens of Paul Bunyan.
Yeah, and then there's the world around him.
Yeah, and I love that, though. I love that. But yeah, this is Jimmy. And again, this does feel like the Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen if it had continued.
If he had continued and had he grown up from it?
Yep.
Or is he still like in his early 20s or late 20s? Or
late 20s, I'd say. So I got to say, in the anime movie, I love how we finally had Ed Asner now officially have voiced the two main news journalism of the Marvel and DC universe.
Yeah.
Because he was Jameson. He was Jameson in the 90s Spider-Man, and he voiced Perry in the movie. I love that.
Yeah.
And I don't have to tell you, I'm proud of every one of you who stuck by the planet's integrity in its darkest hour. But Lex Luthor lied, like he always lied, investing heavily in water, damming more than 15 rivers with the intent to profit from a global water shortage brought about by tampering with the sun. This is tomorrow's front page. We're breaking the story of the century. And now this whole bit with that being General Lane, that's again Morrison taking stuff from more recent stuff, but not having Lane be evil either.
Yeah. Well, he wasn't evil mostly until Jeff Johns went fully at the bat with it.
Yeah. But now they seem to always go back and forth. But I also love the whole, I'm approaching critical mass. Fusion will occur in 30 seconds. The signal takes 9 minutes to reach the sun. And sure enough, I'm approaching critical mass. Fusion will occur in 30. I love that. And also I love Lex's reason. He looked at himself in the mirror and he saw basically crow's feet. He realized he's getting older and Superman isn't. That is such a simple reason, but it makes sense for Lex.
Yeah.
Doesn't it?
Yeah, like running through his own bucket list.
Yep. Not if I could help it. So if I want to die happy, it's time to get serious about killing Superman. Don't you think? Yeah, and then all of this, and basically supercharging him to the point of killing him.
Yeah.
What do you think about
and
that?
that way how he's pulling off the whole thing. I already wrote into, if it's said in the movie, I'm going to have the movie dialogue explain it.
But what do you think about that? That how now he's at the most powerful he's ever been, but at the cost of killing him?
On some senses, it's the whole. Well, that this still makes it the story of how Superman is literally dying in it. But they're also, if they didn't say how long he has until he dies. Well,
they don't know.
Did they say here that it's gonna happen sooner or faster?
They didn't say.
Because if they make it so that they couldn't need to say that he's dying, they could say that he is also has now something of an expiring, that he won't live forever, and he would maybe have a human life expectancy similar to everyone else.
Right.
That would have been something like a that wouldn't turn this into a story about Superman dying and how he spends his final days, but more of he now has his time is now running out as it does with normal humans, and he also can use his powers like he normally does, but while knowing that it won't be forever.
Exactly. And again, now introducing this quantum. I love how he's basically Star Labs turned up to 11.
Yeah, DNA project.
Yep. Greedo, that's what a lot of it is. This is Star Labs and Cadmus combined and then turned up to 11.
Yeah.
They don't bring up Cadmus.
Or Star Labs or anything.
Yeah. But I love all these. You have the Bizarro workers and everything. So much that sets things, set some things up. Not everything, of course. Trying to come up with some of these cells that might, things that can try to help heal him. Oh, great Caesar's ghost. Wait, he said, exclusive interview said, Clark Kent is fired in 10 seconds. 3, 2, hold the breath. Now, one thing I do love about Quietly, he definitely draws Clark. Like, you can buy through the posturing that they are completely different.
Yeah, and you don't need to also overdo it.
Yeah, it's just
like it's still the same frame body. Your body just like the whole number through 2 big loads, a different posture, and just comb the hair the other way, like it should.
Yeah, like the hunting gives him a bit of a gut. Like, you know what I mean? I love that. But I love how also he still saved people casually on his way back. Like, gentlemen, thank God, it's for my own good. I realize that. Put me away, boys, before I do something really terrible to Superman. And look, it looked like the movie credit.
Yeah.
I love that. Oh, and of course, I also love how the whole notion that he just bumped to the guy. Why? That's why. But he used the clumsiness so he doesn't have to, it's risk using his abilities. He's going to just simply bump into a guy and delay it.
Yeah, that actually makes me wonder, or the way how he could casually stop people from dying like this. Like, how would Superman exist in a Final Destination movie?
Oh, God. But of course, Lois, please stop talking for just 1 second. I have something to tell you. But
I still like how they did it in the 90s. Better, like they were indoors. Their relationship was already in a much better in a better standing, and he just told her because it was the right thing to do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But
that was still out in the open. This could also say that, hey, check out this shirt I have.
Right, but I do like how after all the time pre-crisis, why would she believe? Why? After how many times he's had to pull the wall off from her, eventually she would have to come to grips saying, it's not Clark. It can never be Clark. And now she's doing this. Of course, you're going to think this is a ruse.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you agree with that? Like, wouldn't you in her shoes?
Yeah. Because and
again, this is continuing as if this Bronze Age never happened. So imagine that. If that meant it continued on until the equivalent of present day, so that means we had a number more years more of him pulling the wool over her eyes. Eventually she'd give up and just be like, okay, point made. Never assume it's Clark. Of course, I do love this upgrade for the key. I never liked it as a giant key.
Yeah, kind of something I already brought up when in that one trailer the sneak peek reaction, that they could have had the key exist.
And I love it, and I love its reasons. You know why? Because it's for by the time humanity will evolve to a point where they can lift the key, is when they be worthy of what's in the fortress.
Yeah, I
like that explanation.
And there's some background images to this.
Bad Penny.
Yeah.
This is a little in poor taste. The Columbia.
Yeah.
Challenger would have been fine, but Columbia. Would you agree
Then
with
there's
that?
also the whole acknowledging now that Batman and Joker and some Justice League exist. Like we saw the Bizarro versions at some point.
Yep.
And well, when we get to some world-shattering events, which just are they doing nothing?
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I'm sure that given how Superman, how smart he is in this, I think it's a case of if he can't come up with anything, they can't.
Yeah, but they're not even responding. And then there's also when we get to that one. Okay, when we get to that chapter, I'll bring that example up.
Right, but of course, yeah, reaching out to his other selves from different points in time. Cal Kent, of course, to which he's like, Cal Kent, Like, of course, she's again not believing. Why should she?
Yeah.
Sorry, I just got something up my nail. Sorry. Don't you hate when you have something stuck in your nail?
Yeah.
But yeah, oh yeah, the anvil. Again, it's a pet, but on a Paul Bunyan scale.
Yeah.
So of course look how just casual he is.
Yeah, casual stuff. And hold on, let me how do I write this up? Sets of two Chekhov's guns of sometimes the DLR 1 million and the baby son eater without the context of how he is dying. Oh yeah, I wrote this part as in that this episode is best summarized as Superman trying to share as much about himself as possible to Lois, as well as to set up two set pieces and Chekhov's guns for later, without the context of how he is dying, which of course makes Lois suspect Superman's intentions even more.
Exactly.
Especially when she gets a glimpse of this.
And the gas is what makes her paranoid, which we could tell from here. Unfortunately, they were not able to do that in the animated movie.
Gas.
And they openly admitted it. Yeah, it was a gas in that room. See?
Vapors.
And he later tells her that. And if you notice, the black and whiteness, that's a side effect. That's why she's become paranoid.
Yeah. Hold on.
He says that right.
Vapors.
Right here. He left the door. Oh, and we also do set up the other plot point. The fact that robot left the door had problems. He left the door open while it was synthesizing some alien chemical. They can cause visual distortion, extreme paranoid reaction.
Oh, hold on. Robot malfunction.
Which that was a setup for later. That's also
I'm putting in French lines that expand on these parts in the script.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, of course, she just gets more and more paranoid. Again, given that gas, rightfully so, adding everything else, she wonders, maybe he's going to make me a breeder or something, like that kind of stuff. Oh, the unknown Superman that asks 3 questions. Will Superman ever marry and have children? I have to know. I hope will answer it before you. Now my question. Future must know great conundrum. Who was J-Lo?
I'm going to need to get that South Park clip of the other set of Jennifer Lopez for this part.
Yeah, because the joke is, of course, they're so far in the future, they don't get the joke of, of that. That's the whole point of it. That it's so far in the future that some stuff has been lost. So, of course, they might see the name J-Lo, but they don't know the context.
Yeah, gonna be in Justice League Oblivion or something like that else.
Yeah. But she grabs that kryptonite blaster and everything. And unfortunately, that's another thing. They admit this whole bit here looks great in comics. It looks like a little hop in the animated movie.
Unless it was done in slow motion.
But yeah, but then that could derail the momentum.
And runtime, yeah.
So even I have to admit, yeah, that was a little weak, wasn't it? Just a little hop, like
yeah.
But yeah, so now he knows that he's immune to kryptonite.
Hmm.
But yeah, of course, the fact all this was done for this.
Yeah.
And of course, I do love it. She's like, bring it on.
Yeah.
Oh, crawl. I find it interesting. Now, again, Cat here is interesting. Like, wouldn't you agree? Like her actually being a bit more like she's on top of things. What do you think about that?
Maybe so. It's something that they took best and worst and they of both versions and cut out the worst parts out.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like, of course, earlier, yeah, she's just staring at that guy working out. We don't know if there's an atom in this world. We don't know. But of course, Steve, he's typical Steve. But yep, they fly in, and of course, then we get Samson and
Atlas.
Yep, and Atlas. Oh, Carl's lungs just burst. The fact that the two caused this incident. But what do you see about this? How each of these technically represent the different trials. And hold on, you talk about that while I look through, because he actually does list what the trials are. Oh, yep, here it is.
Yeah.
You want to know what those 12 labors are?
Yeah, those 12 labors of.
Okay, you ready to write it down?
Superman's or Hercules.
You ready to write them down?
Let me leave it up.
Save the first man mission to the sun.
I'm having this be in the review section.
Tell me when you're ready. Unfortunately, then some of these got dropped from. Even some of these got dropped from the movie. Obviously.
Yeah. Okay.
Brews the super elixir. So we've got the two. The super elixir, or creates. I'm just saying how Morrison put it.
Brews / creates.
Answers the unanswerable question. Change the chronivore.
Change what?
The chronivore.
Yeah. Does what to it?
Change it, then captures it. Or contains it.
Yeah.
Saves Earth from Bizarro Home.
Yep.
Returns from the Underverse. Creates life. Liberates Kandor / cures cancer, because that's what the Kandorians do.
Yep.
Defeats Solaris.
Yep.
Conquers death. Builds an artificial heart for the sun. And leaves the recipe and formula to make Superman 2.
What? Nootti mitä? Mitä? Vai niin? Et mä en ole näkemässä sitä. Yeah, that's my brother.
No worries. But yeah, those are the 12 labors.
Yeah, leaves, recipe.
Or formula to create Superman.
I'll read it that way and then maybe rewrite info.
Yep.
It's okay.
Because a lot of those are towards the end of the series.
Joo. Mutta me nauhoitetaan vielä, että älä huu enempää.
And technically, Lex does his own feat.
Yeah.
He delivers the unified field haiku at some point. which we will see a bit hinted at in issue 4.
Yeah.
But well, yeah, what do you think? But yeah, then this whole bit about how Lois decides to go along with it because she still thinks Superman's messing with her.
Yeah.
So that's why she's going along. And of course, Samson and Atlas are just being jerks. The fact they completely caused that entire thing to get Superman's attention. Yep, and but yeah, oh yeah, all of this stuff, this uranium at 238 uranium is lethal if it wasn't for her the powers.
Yeah.
And the fact they showed up because they know he's going to die.
Yeah.
All spare in love and war.
That's how it makes it. If they could have, this was in the sense of keeping up with modern creators also, this wouldn't be Booster doing it.
Well, yeah. But Booster is not that big of a dick.
Or Booster would have actually known that Superman was going to die.
But yeah, then we have the stuff with the Ultra Sphinx. And of course, they did all this because they didn't want to deal with it. That's why they came here. They have Superman deal with it. But yep. And then, but I love how, where did he get the idea? Well, we'll see in a moment. But yeah, the answer is, what happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object? They surrender. But I also, how about I wrestle you for her? Or is the mighty Man of Steel a coward after all? Even the S on his back is yellow. Okay, that's enough. Both of you. And I just thought like, But the fact that, I love that.
No man cameo when they went to Atlantis.
Well, I know. Again, keeping it to just Superman for the most part. But of course, the fact that she still thinks it's a gag. Just done for her birthday.
Yeah, and then making it out, and after making out with the moon, Lois falls asleep on Superman's arms as the effects of the DNA cocktail runs out, without Superman getting to tell Lois that he is dying.
Right. Oh, but the fact that he got it from Alexis ad. What happens when the unstoppable force meets the immovable object? Surrender to the new Lexus Samaritan. That's where he got it from. What do you think of that?
And
sorry, a Lexus. So it's not a Lex vehicle.
Luxus Samaritan, yeah.
What do you think of that gag? The fact that he got it from the answer from a advertisement that he saw when Samson was showing off the newspaper.
Interesting blink and you miss detail.
Yeah. Oh boy! Then we get Superman turning evil. The stuff with Jimmy. Like again, this is where it takes Jimmy's being the greatest man ever, and yet the gag is he still has a hard time getting a date with Lucy.
She's already in aren't they already in his place?
Yeah, but I'm saying though, like it's already like I'm dumping you. We're through. Which I don't know if that makes Lucy look like a shallow person. Like, yeah, I can't believe you'd be so shallow, Lucy. Believe it, Jimmy. But yeah, I do like this whole idea of him doing the for a day. In this case, I was America's sweetheart for a day.
Yeah, being something of that. That's actually something that why I pretty much like hear the abridged essay of Kirito when he read his dialogue.
Yep. Oh, I love it.
It's kind of like the same attitude.
Yep. I also love this. Like, I love your for a day columns. They take 7 minutes to read, which quite coincidentally is the time I personally require on the toilet. And of course, I'm kidding, Mr. Olsen.
Yeah.
I know. Again, it shows that he has a sense of humor. But yeah, so for 24 hours, he's the head of Project DNA. Do not until doomsday. Uh-oh.
Considering what they have probably happened during all the times that they have been, what counts as doomsday in this world?
Well, we already know then what it ends up being.
Yes, we know it now.
Yep, and they find black kryptonite, which had just been introduced, I believe, in Smallville.
Yeah, I remember the episode.
Yep, but the fact
actually it wasn't even created, introduced. It was Brainiac's creation, if I recall.
Well, yeah, but still, the fact that here makes him inverted, but not full on Bizarro.
Yeah.
He talks like a Bizarro, but the fact that everything that's been going bad for him is because of a gypsy curse.
Huh.
That's bothering him for a day.
Yeah.
It makes me bad. And you know what? Part of me is starting to like that idea. Oh boy. And look, the fact they send everything, even that big lunar astronaut can't stop him.
Yeah.
The Voyager Titan. Where I am, Lois Lane. But I do like how he decides to become a monster to fight Superman, so it gives him something to hit without ruining his image.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I think Grant Morrison in some, I think it was TV drop or somewhere, where they said that the mundane version that the evil Superman as an inverse version is something that is kind of that, but also kind of cowardly as it comes to someone.
He gets very cowardly.
Yeah.
Right here, like me normal, Evan Boswell. Me feel, you feel this. Feel what? Yeah, he becomes more of a coward. But the fact that he actually did time it, that's why he used that device to snap him out of it.
Yeah. Maybe that's kind of works in the fact that it was like switched off instead of happening as a one push and then let the rest happen naturally.
Right. But yeah, and then of course he gets the Frankenstein on ice tickets.
Huh. Yeah.
But I also love, it even says, a bully, a coward, and a liar. Weird thing is, the worse he acted, the weaker became. Just as well. I hope you'll take anything I said back there with a pinch of salt. But I do love how he only has 10 hours left, so he has a few other requests, including a large-scale, short-term cosmetic alteration, which was, of course, I love you, Lucy.
Or just I love Lucy. That can make actually works as two things. One, it's just could be a popular culture reference, and it's to all the Lucys in the world.
Yep, but also the fact that he has to do this stuff to win her over.
This and like I said, this attitude is pretty much the whole kind of.
Match is Silver Age.
Even when it's that Silver Age story, it's funny. It comes across as this, and Grant Morrison wanted to explain this as that.
Yep. Oh, by the way, I also love the Hall. How do you explain? You use just up an entire annual budget in one day. You don't have to. You have limitless resources. I checked the secret project bank account in Zurich. There was an infinity sign in the credits column. You can't know that. No firewall is Olsen-proof. Showing that he's a master hacker.
Yeah. Not against two at all.
Yep. I think they find a way to bridge it. That's why he has a hard time with Lucy, showing that he ain't perfect.
Kind of a cliche is that if that's the only flaw.
Right, but like I said, this is my favorite issue, the Luthor issue. This perfectly sums up Luthor. Also, I love it. Attila the Hun, Genghis Khan, Al Capone, Adolf Hitler. Most of those were people you'd have to shake their hands up to enter his fortress of solitude.
Yeah.
Back in the era.
Episode 5 next opens with Luthor's trial, where he is painted by everyone, including himself, as a cartoonishly evil bad guy that deserves the electric chair.
Yep.
That's a quick and easy summarization of this panels.
Exactly. But it's because we already know, it's just like Lex. He has a plan. Oh, but I do love this. He actually would have died right here if it wasn't for Superman.
Again, if this was a Final Destination movie.
Right, but I just love it how he just like, whoa, careful, Kent. Look at you. You write like a poet, but you move like a landslide. I'm sure I had my dignity with me when I came in. Afternoon, Luther. I'm here on the floor for our interview. Your clumsiness may have saved me from electrocution. Thanks to my rubber insoles. How very ironic is that? Here I am on death row, courtesy of evidence gathered by your newspaper, Daily Planet. That is some kind of ironic, almost quite, and makes us quit. Star reporter. How about this pair of fat girls? Somehow they overlooked the high voltage dust trap. I wouldn't call them girls. They look pretty tough to me. They've given me an hour to talk with you, Lex, to hear your side of the story. I saw that Da Vinci of crime headline. It seemed like a compliment, but there's a sneer hidden in there somewhere, isn't there? Follow me, Kent. This would never happen if anyone else on this planet had to wit to see it. And I love all this. This whole, how he acts here, how he insults it. I love how he I can mentally crack any code and known to man in less than a minute. Time me. It's shorthand, Lex. Simmer down. Shorthand. What kind of ridiculous affection is that for a man? And he realized he needs to learn shorthand. Also, I picked up shorthand for my ma. My ma, give her my regards next time you drop by the family plot. Shorthand. Okay, something else to learn. But I also love how he says, imagine how it was meant to be. Think about it. Without Superman to distract her, you just never know. Perhaps cool, cruel Lois Lane might have actually noticed good old Clark Kent sighing faithfully there in the corner. Why aren't you blushing? I know you have feelings for her. I'm here to interview you, Luther. Remember the big exclusive you promised my editor? I'm just saying, tall, strapping Midwestern farmer's boy with brains, integrity, and no style of his own. That's a prize catch for any cynical city gal. Throw in some weight training, and that flabby physique of yours could even come to rival Superman's build. I don't know about that. Again, I just love it. How he is basically trying to say, you represent possibly one of the best of humanity, Kent.
Yeah, I have already.
And yet he ironically.
This establishes how Luthor is unable to see Superman in front of him dressed as Clark Kent, and that the disguise works.
And he's praising Kent for everything that he finds disdaining about Superman.
Yeah, pretty much how I have written this scene is that summarizing everything that they talk about would take too long. So I'll just point out that while Lex sees Clark as a person beneath him, he also recognizes what values he recognizes in Clark before throwing it all back at him by insulting the lack of potential in his characterization.
Exactly. And again, I just love that. How, yes, I mean, it's like he's trying to turn Clark on Superman.
Yeah.
But yeah, and of course, all of this stuff. Oh, geez, the stuff with Parasite. It's like, uh-oh.
Who in this version is able to absorb power and energy without touching anyone?
Yeah. And of course, we go back to the stumbling around. I love that.
Yeah. Oh, yep. 5 paragraphs long sentence. I maybe wonder how I get that read.
Yeah.
So, having Clark as Superman in close proximity with this parasite, then causes it to break free, and causes a prison riot where Clark needs to handle the situation without changing into Superman, as well as without letting anyone figure out when he is using his powers, to evacuate the guards and other prison personnel outside of Project Luthor, who believes in his own hype like a plot armor to protect both himself and Clark in the company of Parasite.
Yep. Now,
it's going to be a tough one to record that in one sitting.
Oh. But then, of course, you're just another weapon in my war against Superman. Watch how easily I make you, your paper, and the entire penal system seem completely unreliable. And then the inimitable Lex Luthor opened up the floor and shook hands with a baboon in a Superman suit. Evening, Leopold. That is one of my favorite Lex moments.
Yeah, it's basically something so unbelievable that no one is ever gonna believe you if you tell
why
them.
if he knows those Superman would have to write it because it actually happened. Which then would make people think either Clark has lost his mind, or the penal system somehow got let a baboon get in there. And then we're introduced to Nastalia. And she is weird. Oh, I also love this whole bit. And also the whole drawing on the eyebrow. You actually miss it. Because remember, he lost all of his hair when he lost his hair. That includes the eyebrow. That means he has to draw eyebrows on.
Huh.
So, and if you go back to when did it first happen? There it is there. It's after he wiped his sweat.
Oh.
See? That's the moment, I believe, when he first... No, right there. When he's... Right here. See?
Oh.
He's wiping the sweat, and then next you see it, it's gone.
Oh.
How's that for a little note to make?
Yeah.
Hence the whole eyebrow.
Yeah.
And I love this moment. He takes off his glasses, and you know, this is Superman talking.
Oh. Yeah. Before leaving via the ferry road by not Lena Luthor, Clark takes off his glasses and tries to use furious logic on Luthor on how insanely suicidal he is. But Luthor, as blind as he is in not seeing Superman in front of him, just says that he is happy to go to the electric chair, knowing that he has caused Superman's current predicament of being slowly dying away.
Yep. And we also look at it, he kind of gave himself a Superman curl. You notice that?
Now that you actually pointed out that it's drawn, it explains how it looks weird.
That's why he drew that. It drew it that way because he doesn't have a mirror to look at. Yep. Where to? And of course, what does this look like? The river Styx.
Yep.
Perfectly like the river Styx.
Yeah.
Oh, and this was also a great issue as well. All the stuff with Pa Kent, Crypto showing up. My one downside is, unfortunately, Frank Qualley does not make young Clark look that much distinctive from adult Clark.
No.
I agree. Like, that is the one problem, right?
Like, he needs to be...
Oh, but I love this. Why do you boys have to act like I don't know who he is? Don't make me talk about this, Lana. I love that. It's like he's trying to combine both versions. You know, where only Pete knew and only Lana knew.
Yeah.
Of course, I love how he's spying on them. And Crypto's just like, this is the hardest tie-in to 1 million, which you and I went over.
Yeah.
Yep. And I do find that interesting. Of course, the fact that he joins in the fight, and the fact that the unknown Superman is pretty much telling Paul everything without having to say anything. And but of course he knows. Is he telling Crypto? Jonathan will suffer a fatal heart attack. And I love it. I can save everybody. Paul! Funeral. Wham. The fact he's flying so fast, his hair is on fire.
Oh.
And again, they tried to stop him. They tried to warn him. Don't get involved.
Yeah. Could have spent this Parkin's last moments by his side instead.
That's why he did this. And does this mean he's always been the unknown Superman? I don't think so.
Yeah. Because that would make the trolling rather...
Right.
ridiculous.
Although I love this. Which of my descendants are you? Ha! I love that.
Yeah, because
he doesn't have to say anything. He just has to go, ha!
Yeah, doesn't need to say it, but it's be a no from DC 1 million. That's going
his
to be
future
him.
self. But of course, why would he presume that's his future self when he's met all of these descendants.
Yeah.
That was a great one. I will be honest though, the Bizarro story is the weakest.
Yeah, just we have been trying to cover it this has already convinced me on why it was cut.
Yep. And the fact that that's Allie. That's the woman. One, they've made her really fat here. Normally, Allie's the woman who, in post-crisis, we would always see her at the office. But then we later found out because she lost her apartment, she was actually living in the office. And that led to a bit of a story about homelessness.
Oh.
But yeah, Allie was always one of the, the main, like dependable people at the planet. So just feel like they just dropped her name here.
Yeah.
And I also don't get it. So if the touch turns them into that, a Bizarro, and they take the form. That was a little weird, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, explaining it in the movie would have been hard.
Yeah. Although the fact he's like, I haven't changed. I do love though later when he's like, I'm immune. Yes, well, I wouldn't recommend those enhancers. I mean, in other words, steroids is what prevented him from being affected.
Yeah. That's actually also the entire world is being conquered by the Bizarros, and the Justice League that is confirmed to exist, we hear nothing from how they are responding to this.
I know, right? It just doesn't make much sense. The fact is around Christmas. But yeah, it's just done way too fast. And then Zibaro. I do find Zibaro to be the more interesting idea, but
but what to do with it, or what to do with them?
Yeah, and they make him a white.
One of the flawed clothes among the otherwise all reverse-acting Bizarros, which by that distinction makes him as smart as Superman trapped in the thinking Bizarro world.
But he has a different upbringing.
Oh.
But this, I do feel, is taking the idea of Bizarro World and deconstructing it. Wouldn't you agree? Like, it's deconstructing the idea. Like, imagine how you would be like being a natural Bizarro. Not just Superman among them, but a natural Bizarro who ended up being like Superman. So you are even more of an outsider here than you are for Superman is on Earth. Right?
Hold on. Where can I put it somewhere in the...
Well, because think about that. He is he's like Lex in that regard in Smallville. A genius among Hicks.
Yeah. Okay. Super smarter and a living example of an outsider in the world like Superman is.
Only maybe, possibly worse.
Of an outsider, Superman is in a worse way.
It's like Superman at level of exile mixed with Lex's being an outsider in Smallville.
Worse way, like Lex with his intellect.
Exactly. Because that's what he feels like. He feels like a genius among idiots who mock him for his genius.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't blame him for being a bit of a petulant child. I don't blame him.
Oh. Seeing how Superman never actually notices that distinction there. Or points it out. It's maybe something that Grant Morrison wrote in as they would that
I don't think he realized that.
If people don't acknowledge that, then, or maybe if Morrison did it, then maybe Han also got it unconsciously.
Yeah, but the fact, you have I love this. The whole notion of having to talk like them, and I love this. I'm offered Bizarro a chance to be lazy, good for nothing slobs. Look over there. Me, I'm no offer Bizarro civilization a chance to make monument to last all time. Chance to make the most useless, boring fireworks ever for unglory of Bizarro and no celebrate all night. Of course, the fact that Zabaro's like, what? I can't bear to hear you talking like that. Don't sink to their level. Again, that sounds like Lex, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That sounds like a Lex talk.
Yeah, cringe at it. Yeah.
And I'm sure Superman himself might feel that.
People might as well cringe looking at.
Yep, up and then there's some of the Justice League.
Yeah. Actually, another reason why this was cut because they also told the movie with the sandbox where Superman is the only one who exists. So this was done also cut out because this. Because without mentioning it, there was no physical background confirmation of the other heroes existing, so it could be another reason.
But the fact that he wants to come and Samantha tell him, you need to be that example. Basically, he's saying, be like me. Be the example for them.
Yeah. And then there's this national anthem. You know, I have the Finnish version of this because it came out in some aspects of. But I don't think that the last issues ever got published, or if they did, I never was able to find and buy them. But the Finnish version of this, how they're doing the national anthem, they actually also did the translator made a Finnish version of it, made from the Finnish national anthem. It's like, oh, Åland Bizarro, something land, oh, say the Maldives word. No, there's land, there's sky, and that kind of version of it.
Yeah, and I think what I also like is Zabarro is like he is terrified of the idea that he might be just as lonely over there. That's why he then decides, you know what? Screw it, I'm sending you back.
Yeah.
But yeah. Oh, I love it. He acts like, oh no, I've messed up again. And I love how he decides to mock the Bizarro. And hello and bad riddance. But of course, he gets down, and the fact that he chose to reveal everything because obviously he doesn't think Superman's coming back.
Yeah, he was dying.
Yep. Oh, this.
And this is something that I actually, because now we have these replacements.
Yep, this is where he kind of does his take on the rain, both the rain and the whole other Kryptonians still survive stories of the Silver Age.
And these guys probably killed the Justice League if they did ever exist.
Possibly.
Batman is dead, Wonder Woman's dead, Green Lantern is dead, Flash is dead. Those guys just kill them.
Yep. But yeah, Superman's alive. I knew it. Has he seen
no one is mourning for them.
Unfortunate. That's why it's hard to say. But I do like how close these two are. Like, they are a legit couple.
Yeah.
They're not like, they're like Man of Steel, Zod, but they're making a choice. They're not driven by it. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, have the free will and just make us recreate the home.
Exactly. And I just love it how it's just like, Bar-El and Lilo, they told me about you. The first astronauts from the planet Krypton who drifted lost in space for decades. But of course, I gotta say, Arnold Vosloo did a great job as Bar-El in the movie.
Yeah, and
yeah, they are arrogant because they're from the early days.
Yeah.
Of Krypton.
Still from the time when Jor-El was already alive.
Yep, and well before Kal-El was even conceived. But of course, because they're coming here as adults, and notice we don't have a Supergirl here either. Oh, I love it. You shouldn't have left this key lying around. And then, chink! I love that.
Yeah, that was a good effect in the movie.
Yep. But yeah, they say leave the key lying around. It wasn't meant for another Kryptonian to pick up. Yeah, and the fact that they consider releasing the Phantom Zones, because again, they feel like, well, yeah, but they're still Kryptonian. That should trump everything.
Yeah, and whatever sentence they have already have been put on, they have served it and should be released.
Yep. Oh, geez.
Live among the laws of what Krypton is, not what humans live by.
They broke the moon, so they use all these bridges to seal it up.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, of course. Wow! And I love if you look carefully, his eyes are going red.
Huh.
Yeah! Well, at least Steve is not he's just a practical joker. He's not a HR lawsuit ready to happen.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it went Unbound.
Yeah.
Because the animated movie also took out his redeeming qualities.
Yep. Now, what do you think about the fact that Superman technically didn't have any means of stopping them? It was just happenstance.
Kind of I'm not sure if it's a cop out or
because they've had moments like this where there'll be, like, for example, going through the kryptonite cloud.
Huh.
But it's still showing Superman's mercy, which I think what it is, this is the only way to truly stop them peacefully is to humble them.
Obviously.
That's what I think. I think that's what they're looking at this as. It was the only way to stop them because they had to be humbles first.
Probably this moment is why why it's not brought up that they may have killed off the Justice League when they stood up against them.
Yeah, because then you would have lost a lot. Personally, dude, I wouldn't put too much emphasis on that when you do your video, all right? Because that just raises more questions than anything.
I'll just maybe ask it in the.
Ask it quickly, but I'm saying I wouldn't dwell on it, is all I'm saying.
Oh.
But I do like how they send them into the Phantom Zone forever because their bodies are falling apart. But now the Phantom Zone will have order. I like that.
Oh.
They'll be there to prevent anyone from considering escaping.
Yeah. They still have their powers over there.
Yep. Now we get to the point of Superman's last will, as now the pain is starting to take effect.
Okay, hold on. Now Superman is starting to feel like dying.
Yeah, because he's sweating. It's like everything is now reaching the point of the negative effects are taking over. Yep. Of course, the fact that even here, they're still not able to restore Kandor, but they decide instead to accept it, but find a way to help out the human race. I do like that.
Yeah.
Oh, and Superman creating life in this cube is interesting. Oh, Lois, don't ask. I am not sure how to feel about this guy having Alzheimer's.
Big alligator moment.
Yeah. Oh, but then, of course, she wants to talk because he's been putting it off so much. But, of course, now Quintum has told her, so it's like, when I'm done, we'll talk about all this. Look at you. Don't think I don't know. You told her? I'm afraid it just slipped out, Superman. It seemed wrong that you should bear this alone. Aww. But, then this bit.
Oh, okay, hold on. That Lois knows.
But
the moment with.
But the fact he looks at it like we could never have anything more than where we're at.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love if you paid attention the whole. I got hold up. No, don't put the phone down, Reagan. Just stay in the apartment. You have to believe me. I'm on my way. I like that. The setup there.
Okay, that setup is something that they never bring up in when they show up the scene or the page itself.
Yeah, but I like that setup there. And then, you overhear what they're trying to say, I'm on my way, but don't put the phone down. Like, your doctor really did get held up, Reagan. It's never as bad as it seems. You're much stronger than you think you are. Trust me.
The way how this page has been just shared without any other context.
I don't think you need any other context.
No, you don't maybe need any context, but the oversaturation of how it's also used. I feel like without the whole setup and also bring up it, you can't just show it and just expect it to have the aspect. Like, I understand why it's also a great suicide prevention scene, but it kind of it has become less with oversaturation.
Here, and I gotta say, I get what Reagan's mind is thinking. She's not believing her psychiatrist. She's basically feeling like, you don't want to come see me, do you? You think I'm a lost cause, don't you? Do you want
that's probably maybe you don't need to explain that context, but you can also see the other side of the phone in the background in the issue.
Yeah, exactly. The whole, like I'll be saying, I'm on my way to stay in the apartment, meaning he was coming to make a house call.
Yeah.
I don't know many psychiatrists that do that, but still.
Okay. And the context with her doctor trying to get
her to believe him.
To her. Yeah.
Because, like I said, it's clear. She thinks he's given up on her. Like, there's no point in helping her. And it's just like, you just gave up on me. You're just upset that I know the truth. Would you agree that's clearly what's going through her mind? Clearly. Otherwise, why would she go this far, right?
Maybe it's when waiting. Or could it be something that if it's on the phone, waiting and just walking with the phone, waiting and no. Then
he kept telling her, "Don't leave your apartment," and he was saying that already. Like, I'm just stay in the apartment. You have to believe me. I'm on my way. But yeah, and then this is where it's decided that they can help out curing cancer. This is also where Superman studies his genetics code. I like the Earth Q thing. We're seeing how fast it's progressing over there. Superman comes for him like, one more offer. He just spits at him.
Yeah, hold on. Montage of things. Montage of progress. I'm gonna progress. I'm gonna expand it more when I get to that. And Luthor visit.
What do you think about them? About them being on Mars, so they don't have any problems for Earth. What do you think about that? That they still have their powers, but they're not, you know what I mean, right?
Yeah, Mars. It's flexing.
This is, of course, then when he decides to use the Kandorians to help cure cancer.
Oh, Kandorians cure cancer.
Because obviously they're the only ones who could keep up with the body.
Yeah, they were trying to fix his body. They failed, and he decided to. Okay, these people might need this more than me.
Yep, and then in his little reality, where he created life, Superman is made. I love that.
They don't show that first Superman that they had the idea for first. Well,
I love how they built up to the idea of the Superman, saying that it's been around for ages.
Better than what? A better source than the other source.
Yep. Oh, but then, of course, the Superman is dead headline. Then we find out everything comes together for Lex's plan.
Yeah, Luthor's execution.
Goes fine if it wasn't for the fact that turns out Lex deduced on the super formula.
Ocean goes fine, but except that he got his last meal was the super formula. Was the DNA cocktail. I called it that earlier.
Yeah.
That gave Lois powers.
Yep. How we'll get to how in a moment.
Yeah.
The Sun Eater was let go. I like how he's just cleaning out the old pit.
Yeah, he let it go with the Bizarro.
Yeah, but knowing now is he cleaning it out. Oh, I love it. You can see Barrow and Lilo in the background.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's explaining everything to Robot 7 and saying, like, what a life and everything. Leaves all this message for everyone as he's getting himself ready. And then, of course, like, I have a superpower for 24 hours. Just goes through all of this. We find out just how creepy Nostalgia is. Yep. And like, so how cool am I? Friends in high places. Time to get changed. Superman, face the tyrant sun. Scourge of worlds. Luthor's secret ally is here. The final adventure is about to begin. This is Superman signing out.
Oh, yeah, Solaris is set up. Or not set up, so Solaris shows up. I think there was a setup already in the Bizarro chapter because it
was set up there, but it was also set up that he is meant to defeat Solaris.
Yeah, already saw that when they send the probes to the sun afterwards, that they found something disturbing.
Mm-hmm.
And that what turned out to be Solaris.
Yep. But of course, yeah, he's killed the sun. He starts fighting them. But then we find out Robot 7 was hacked by Solaris. Which was the one that left the door open.
And is revealed to battle.
Yeah, to have using his, how he's a machine. Robot 7, the robot that left the door open.
Robot 7 who
left the door.
Functioned earlier. If I explain it with too much detail, it takes too much time.
I get it.
Functioned in episode 2.
Yeah. Then the Sun Eater comes to help. But it is also destroyed because it's only a baby.
To help and does a heroic sacrifice.
Mm-hmm. I love it. You two are so post-mortem. I love that line from her. Although I do not like, that's one thing I did not like. They imply in the movie that he killed Solaris. Well, even says, I'm out of mercy. I did not like that. Would you agree?
Superman beats up Solaris and leaves him alive.
In the book, yeah.
Yeah. I'll get to talk about those differences when I eventually talk about the movie.
Right. And then Clark makes it back and then passes out as Lex shows up.
Before going to be alive, before going to pass out as Clark at the Daily Planet.
I do like how Lois is all like, no, like she's still in denial that he is Superman. It's only at this point where she's finally realizing it's him.
Where Luthor attacks.
Mm-hmm. And technically, Superman died.
Yeah.
As we find out.
Episode 12. Yeah.
And basically the fact that he's able to escape death because he refuses to surrender.
Superman comes back to life.
Because
by refusing death.
Yeah, to surrender to death.
Okay.
I didn't love, of course, things like Lex Luthor saying, "Turn off that signal watch of yours," because he could hear it, or mocking Perry saying, "Funny, I don't see the truth anywhere. What color is it? Can I touch it?" Things like that. And yeah, the fact that Superman gets reborn, he wakes up and everything. He's just toying with them. But I love it. Anyone else feel like acting out in front of the most powerful man on Earth? There's me, Lex. I love that. It's like, one, he's the most powerful man on Earth, not Lex. Yeah. But the fact he's standing out like, and I think maybe you should stop threatening my friend, or everyone else for that matter. And then this is a gravity gun. I guess you've been
and keeps up an charade that he's a Superman in disguise.
Mm-hmm.
That's how Jimmy says
knows.
it.
Yep, but Luthor knows, or not Luthor, Lois knows now
that he is Superman in disguise. Disguise, yeah.
Yep, and then we find out Superman. Everything leading up to it, he figured it all out long ago.
Early. Yeah.
But Lex still wins the fight. But then we see Lex has an epiphany. He starts to, because he sees things through Superman's vision and everything. He starts to realize how they're all connected. But then he spits at it. He still spits at it in this version.
Yeah.
Yeah, Superman.
Early, right before seeing the world the way how Superman does.
And almost accepts it. Almost.
And almost accepts it.
You said almost. You should put a pause and just, emphasize that.
Yeah, let's put it in bold letters. Almost in bold letters.
Yep. Like that, and then Superman reveals he lost his powers from the gravity gun.
Yeah.
To which Lex simply reverts back to type.
Yeah. Accept it. Yeah, and Superman's body is starting to give out.
Yep, it's becoming now, because Superman denied death, his cells are instead evolving into energy.
Superman's refusal of death causes the cells in his body to evolve
into energy, which allows him to go into the sun and repair it.
To the sun. Oh, we need to provide before that to the point.
What?
Solaris turned sun blue.
No, red. Oh no, you're right, blue. He turned it red for a moment, but then intended for it to become blue.
Yeah.
So it can go nova. That was his plan.
Yeah. There it. Fix it. Fix it after saying goodbye to Lois.
Mm-hmm. And it's revealed the newspaper, Superman's Dead headline was done to keep up the continuity or consistency.
Yeah.
I mean, that's true, isn't it?
New article of his death was made to keep up the timeline.
Consistency.
Joo, timeline consistent. Joo.
And thus it then ends. It ends with revealing that they could the key because you're wondering in 1 million if Superman's in the sun, how does he and Lois have kids? Here's how.
Yeah, that actually makes me now that we're at the end, make me feel like this was the version of Superman who went into the sun and came out in DC 1 million. But since Morrison had the idea before Infinite Crisis and before the Hyper Time was replaced by Multiverse, that would still make the Superman Prime in DC 1 million this Superman, but not the main present-day Superman from DC 1 million.
Right. But overall, I still enjoy this story. This is still, but I do not say it's one that you should give this as someone's first Superman book.
Yeah, also it's
a highly recommended to a moderate Superman fan, but not to a noob.
Yeah, not to mention it's also kind of end of an era, and Superman basically did die. That's the way how he existed, and then he evolved into something that does not continue as if everything was just as it was.
Exactly. But overall, it's still, I mean, and again, with the animated movie,
it was a death and rebirth in a sort.
I say this: the animated movie, and give me my thoughts on it. I personally feel the animated movie is going to be a case of trimming any of the fat, but also because of that, you have to rearrange scenes by doing it. Like again, you remove the two Bizarro chapters, but that meant you lost a couple of other important bits.
Yeah, saving the invasion, and mostly they made it so that he was releasing the Sun Eater while right before the Bizarros attacked. So, but in the movie, they pretty much explain that his absence is flying to release him at the outer rims, and that actually, I think that in the movie he told Lois that he is dying before leaving.
So again, you had some changes that worked. I would say a lot of changes make it stand on its own. There are changes that I personally feel are needed for it to be an adaptation. And this is one of those cases where, let's be honest, being 1-to-1, it would have been a slog.
Oh.
I'm looking forward to the graphic audio or the Audible.
Yeah. That could be those good to listen. If they're like done with how the death and the Superman Doomsday Death and Return was done, like without a narrator explaining or describing the surroundings, it's like when I tried to listen to the Final Crisis version, and the narrator was describing too much time went to the narrator trying to describe what was drawn in the comic with too much detail.
By the way, like the audio comes out in a few weeks. It comes out the 24th, so you still have time. You can incorporate it in.
Oh, okay. Where's it coming out in?
Like I said, it comes out the 24th, so that would be a week from this coming Tuesday.
Oh, where to?
On Audible.
Oh.
I'm sending it to you right now. There you go. We have the full cast and everything. It's an unabridged audiobook. Basically, it's doing here similar to what was done with the Sandman audios.
Okay.
But yeah, like I said, overall, this is still a very good story. And the adaptation, I still stand by, it's one of the better adaptations. Is it flawless? No, but again, I don't think Superman is one that you can have a flawless adaptation. Those Bizarro chapters prove it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to cover it. It took me so long. I don't remember how long I have been stuck just trying to get that part written.
Yeah, trust me. And that's why the case where it doesn't matter what it was for McDuffie having to figure out what to trim. I'll be honest, I would have cut that part too. It just brings it to a halt.
Yeah.
I get why Morrison wanted to tell it, but was it really necessary?
It was more one of the 12 labors, and Zibarro being the symbolic representation of both Superman and Luthor as outsiders.
Exactly. But overall, though, like I said, still a classic. The adaptation for not having Morrison involved. The fact that Morrison had stated he wished he saw that ending, because I agree. I don't like that Luthor just reverted back. There's one where he's in tears and everything.
Yeah.
And yet he then reverts back to type. That just doesn't make sense, does it?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, any final thoughts you want to give?
Well, not sure if it is, but this was still everything that was said. This was basically the origin story of Superman Prime in DC 1 million.
Yep. Yeah, pretty much.
And can you help me? I got some good notes that I'm going to need to expand.
Yep. Hey, if you need any more, just reach out to me and let me know, man.
Yeah.
But until then, as we have nothing else to say, we'll see you guys on the next one.
And may your heart be kind.
Yep. Take care.